Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. Coming straight from the Berg, she is none other than Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend? How was your week?
Can't complain too much. It's a short week, obviously, for 4th of July, so we have Friday off, but I also have Thursday off because I am getting some new tattoos this
Oh,
week.
gosh, it doesn't stop with the tattoos.
I haven't been to the shop since March, so
Oh, okay, yeah. It's
kind of
only
like
been what, 4 months.
4 months. Yeah, 4 or 5 months, but yeah, we're gonna hopefully add 15, 16, and 17 onto my tattoo list, but we'll see how it goes.
Wow.
Well,
Good.
2 of them are smaller, but
Good thing
we'll
you don't have an angry parent that disparages your tattoo usage.
yeah, no, thankfully I have one parent who really doesn't care, and then the other where I'm like, hey, I think I'm gonna do this, and she's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. So
Got it
can't
easy. You
complain,
got it easy.
thankfully.
Yeah. Well, guys, welcome on into another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. It is a podcast about professional wrestling where Shay and I talk about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, and we also answer your questions. So we talk about what you want to talk about when it comes to professional wrestling. And we have a big one this week. We have Night of Champions that just passed, and we have a couple questions about that, and we have a couple questions about AEW. So why don't we get into it? Why don't we start talking about Night of Champions? Overall, before we get into the matches, what'd you think of the show overall?
Overall, I thought it was pretty good. That was a pretty solid show. There wasn't really anything that I can think of off the top of my head that I was just like, why the hell is this on there? I
Right.
feel like for the most part everything had its proper spot on the card. Some I mean, honestly, I feel like there wasn't a terrible match. There were some great matches and then there were some good matches, but I feel
Yeah.
like it definitely it didn't disappoint. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah, I felt like the same way. I kind of felt like it was a solid show. Nothing to like go crazy over it. It didn't like knock your socks off, but it was a pretty solid show. It was a fun show. The atmosphere was crazy. The crowd is really into the show the entire time, which was really cool to see. So the atmosphere was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword with Saudi is that yeah, they have a great crowd. It's just everything else about it is just kind of like ugh.
Yeah. But it was still a decent show. So let's get right into it. The first match of the night was for the King of the Ring tournament final, and this would determine who would go on to SummerSlam to challenge for their respective brands world championship. And this was between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And I thought this was a pretty interesting match. And I thought they did a really good job telling a story surrounding Randy Orton's back. You know, he's had a lot of back issues, had spinal fusion surgery and things like that. So his back is on limited time. And so they really played upon that and mapped the match around Randy Orton's back. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was definitely not. I mean, if you were looking for a high energy, like 0 to 60 from the start of the bell match, this
Right.
was not for you. But
Mm-mm.
with those two, it's never going to be that type of match. It's
Right.
always going to be like a methodical, thought out, slow build kind of match. And we definitely got that. It was definitely, I mean, that was definitely a fight in every sense of the word because those two gave each other their best shot multiple times and still didn't. It took some shenanigans at the end there, but I like the fact that we're kind of slowly teasing towards Randy, you know, turning heel a little bit because you kind of thought he was going to pull out the punt kick, and we're like, oh boy, this isn't going to be good. And then you thought he was going to use the steel chair, but oh, that was just the distraction. And then he took the turnbuckle off, and that bit him in the ass, and he was pissed after the match. He was mad. So it'll be interesting to see how this continues after into SummerSlam because now we know it's going to be Cena and Cody Rhodes again, which is definitely going to be a good match, hopefully.
For sure.
As long as it's better than the WrestleMania match. I'm not gonna complain, but as long as there's no Travis Scott anywhere, I think it'll be an improvement. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was definitely good. They were both frustrating the other, and it was growing more and more apparent as the match went on. But yeah, I think this was definitely a really good start to the show, especially the entrances too, because that crowd went absolutely bananas for both of them. It was wild.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I like how you brought up the shenanigans, especially the end part that was brought on by Randy Orton. He pulled off the turnbuckle pad thinking he'd be able to use it to his advantage. And like you said, it came back to bite him in the ass. He ended up going ribs first into the exposed turnbuckle, and that allowed Cody to capitalize, hit the crossroads, and get the win and become the king of the ring for 2025. And like you said, he's going to go on to SummerSlam to face John Cena again for the Undisputed Championship. Now, do you think that this is possibly could lead to Randy Orton maybe going to the dark side and maybe becoming a heel? Because, I mean, he was doing a lot of heel tendencies.
Yeah, I feel like it would be kind of silly. It's tough because you could say, well, he was just getting frustrated, so that's like he just went back to the only thing he knew what to do was to be like the stereotypical Viper, but I feel like it was just becoming way too on the nose and way too obvious that I feel like they wouldn't just have him act that way for no reason. So I feel like there
Right.
has to be some type of payoff somewhere. And I mean, because again, at the end of the match, you could tell he was mad. You could tell he was pissed that he lost. So yeah, we've kind of seen Randy kind of let his anger get the better of him on more than one occasion. So yeah, maybe something happens at SummerSlam or before or after, who knows? But yeah, I feel like we're gonna see the bad guy Randy Orton, I think, sooner rather than later.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, for the rating for this match, you know, we usually do match ratings 1 through 5 flame emojis. I gave this one 3 1/4 flame emojis. What about you?
And we're starting off as usual, 3 1/4 flames.
There we go. I figured that was gonna happen. We would have the same rating.
What's gonna happen if one of these days one of us is like, yeah, I'd say that was like 4 stars out of 5, and the other is like, nope, that was like 2. I don't think that'll ever happen.
I don't think that'll ever happen. Then I'd ask, are you sick?
Yeah, the other would have to be like, are you okay? Do we need to start this over again tomorrow? But no, I'd say it's pretty on brand as usual.
No, definitely. That's pretty good to see that. It's pretty on brand. I wonder if it's on brand for this next match. It was a street fight between Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley. I gotta say, I was really surprised by the performance of Raquel Rodriguez. I feel like she's really putting it together, and she could be an asset as a single star.
Yeah, I think that was definitely her best main roster performance so far that I can remember, because I think it just helps that her and Rhea have such good chemistry. I
Right.
mean, we saw it in NXT, so this really wasn't much of a surprise. And I think I feel like a street fight kind of match fits these two really well because they're just willing to beat the ever living shit out of each other for the sake of the match. And boy, did they do just that. It was so many times where you just kind of cringed a little, like
Yeah.
the belt, that studded belt.
Oh yeah, Rhea went crazy.
The kendo sticks, that was painful, but I think the thing that was the most painful for me, and it wasn't even the the table at the very end, not so much for the fact that someone went through it, because no one went through that table, which I thought was kind of interesting, and I appreciated the fact that we didn't automatically, oh well, the table's out, so someone's going through it. They teased it a couple times, but they didn't fully go through with it, which I thought was kind of, I thought it was interesting. It added a new layer of like tension and drama of like, oh, is this going to be the spot someone goes through the table? Nope. Okay, is that going to be when someone goes through the table, like keeping you on edge? But when they were when they were up on that table, I held my breath the entire time because the one leg wasn't even down on that
Right,
table.
yeah.
It was wobbling, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, get off the fucking table, please. And thankfully, it didn't look like either of them got hurt, but holy shit, that was scary. But I'm glad it turned out okay because that could have been catastrophically bad. if it went one way or the other.
Right, yeah, and I was just pleasantly surprised how they used the weaponry and how smart they were about it. It was a fun and really scrappy too, especially that spot where Rhea got caught and then she ended up going through the top part of the announce table that was set up like a bridge. I thought that was really smart. And again, another fine performance by Raquel Rodriguez, who should be getting a lot of credit for the work that she's been putting in, especially with Liv. And now she's going to have to transition and try to work together with Roxanne, with Liv on the shelf for a couple months with that shoulder injury. Again, a great match between Rhea and Raquel. The match itself, I gave it 3.5 flames out of 5. What about you?
3.5 flames, but I did get nervous. I will say I did get a little nervous because Roxanne showed up, and I'm like, all right, this is either going to be a good sign or a bad sign. And I'm like, oh boy, oh no.
Well, if it was going to go against Raquel, it would have helped you get an extra point in the predictions because you said Roxanne gets involved and cost Raquel the win, but she didn't actually cost her the win. She was just kind of inconsequential.
So I got a little, I mean, poor Roxanne getting kicked through the trash can, the trash can on her head. That would have been, my ears would have been ringing if I were her. But yeah, she kind of let me down a little bit at the time. We'll talk about how that ended up working out for both of us later in the night. But yeah, it made me a little nervous, but overall, solid match, and I too gave it 3.5 out of 5 flames.
Nice. Now moving on, a match that everybody was really looking forward to, and even got some weird like pre-press beforehand that people were looking out for. I'm talking about Sami Zayn taking on Karrion Kross in a match, and it was a decent match, nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the ordinary. It was really, honestly, it felt like the prototypical Sami Zayn match where he's kind of getting beat down and he fights from underneath and he's able to make the comeback and get the win. I was surprised that they didn't give Karrion Kross the win because of all of the fanfare that he's been developing out offline or on the internet and on social media and everything like that. But they actually ended up giving the win to Sami Zayn. And he gets a little bit of redemption on Karrion Kross. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention was the internet came up with this crazy rumor that said that Karrion Kross refuses to take a back bump. Yeah, and I'm like, well, how does that work? Like, I've never heard of a wrestler refuse to take a back bump in a wrestling match. That's kind of, you need to take a back bump. And Karrion Kross took plenty of back bumps in this match. It was funny though. It's like my friend, he said we were watching it and he goes, oh, we're on back bump watch, you know? Like, yeah, it was just, it was very interesting. But this match was pretty good. Nothing to go crazy over, nothing to you know, write about that was out of the ordinary or something crazy. Just kind of surprised that Karrion Kross took the L, but I gave this one 3.25 flames out of 5. What about you?
I also gave it 3.25 because it wasn't terrible. It was solid, but it was definitely, like, we always say above average. You kind of always just start with 3 and then go one way or the other depending on the match. Yeah, I was mad a little bit that Karrion didn't win because I feel like, I guess it also just depends on where they're going with him and Sami. Like, if Sami wins and their story is not done and it just like makes Karrion ramp up his efforts like tenfold now to like corrupt Sami, then it makes sense. But if that was like a one and done, okay, you guys are moving on now, I don't see why Karrion losing would make any sense whatsoever. So I feel like they're at least kind of staying with the story a little bit, especially if you watched Raw last night, that you got involved a little bit, Karrion with Sami. So maybe we're not done yet, and I really hope that's the case because if that was the end to their feud, then I would be left with more questions than answers because I don't know why that would end that quickly. But the ending was all the way out of nowhere too. It was like, oh, that's it.
Right. It was kind of abrupt.
Yeah, like he turns around, he runs to the corner, and all of a sudden Sami just hits him with a Haluva kick, and I'm just like, that can't be it. That surely cannot be it. And it was. But yeah, no, it was a solid match. Hopefully that's not the end of Sammy and Karrion's story, because I feel like Karrion needs to at least pick up a couple wins here and there somewhere, because if not, you're just going to piss off the fan base, me included, you included.
Yeah.
So, got to give him a little something, please. Like, give him a reward or whatever for being a good soldier. Him and Scarlett, they're very good soldiers. Just look at their merch. But
Yeah, and they got new merch coming out too that you should pick up using the affiliate link for the Ringside Rundown.
see, we believe in seamless transitions over here. That was good. That was a good team effort on that one. But yeah, solid match. Can't complain. Besides who won, I can complain about that. But for the match itself, I too gave it 3 1/4 flames.
Nice. So we must have been watching the show together. It feels like we got the same ratings. Yeah, it feels that way. Next match up on the card was for the United States Championship. It was between champion Jacob Fatu making his second defense of the title against Solo Sikoa. This one had a little bit of shenanigans in it, and very surprising in the end that they ended up giving the win and the United States Championship to Solo Sikoa, but we ended up seeing the return of Tongaloa and now the debut of Hikuleo from New Japan, but they changing his name to Talatonga. So
that's confusing.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. It's like there's Tamatonga, and then there's Tongaloa, but Tongaloa's first name and last name are switched, where his brother's last name is Tonga, and then there's Talatonga, but then there's Tongaloa. Like, it's just so yeah, there's so many of them, and they keep coming and they keep coming. They just don't stop, these Samoans. How many are there?
Too many. More than we care to know, I'm sure. But yeah, as far as the match itself, I was it wasn't bad, but you could tell that there really wasn't a lot of chemistry between these two, which is kind of surprising.
Right.
It was just it was physical. Obviously, it's Sol Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. It's gonna always be physical when you have those two in the ring, but it was just like, it didn't really seem like there was much else. It was very confusing. And then you get all like you said, the shenanigans at the end, and now Solo has the title, which, I mean, hey, good for him. I mean, glad to see him get some recognition, since everyone's kind of finally turning the corner on him and realizing he is a really good character, because he is a good character, but now what the heck are you gonna do? Like,
yeah, and that's my thing, is what are you gonna do with Jacob Fatu? Really is my question. Like, what's his next step? Because I mean, he can definitely chase Solo Sikoa for a couple weeks, a couple months, but you can't do that forever.
Yeah, and it's just like, someone said there was some joke of like, they had that picture of at the end with Solo and everybody and him with the title, and someone's all right, what inning are we in now? Someone's like, we're in the bottom of the 19th, and neither team can score a run, and no one can hit a goddamn ball to save their life.
I too frequently go back to that statement and wonder, are we done the baseball game, or are we still in the same baseball game? I don't know.
I hope not.
But
give us a break.
Yeah, for this match, I ended up giving it 3.5 flames out of 5. What about you?
I gave it 3 1/4. It was, like I said, it was solid, but I feel like it could have been a lot more. If there was more chemistry between the two of them, I think I would have rated it a little higher. But
yeah,
it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, definitely. Now, moving on, this match had a lot of people talking, and not for the best ways possible. It was for the Queen of the Ring tournament final between Jade Cargill and Asuka, and the winner of that one would receive a championship opportunity at SummerSlam against their brand's respective champion. Now, this one, I don't know. It was the shortest match on the card at 8 minutes and 35 seconds, but it definitely felt even shorter. It felt like it was like a sprint, and they only had 5 minutes to work the match, and I feel like their time got cut. And obviously there's maybe a little bit of a language barrier between Asuka and Jade's kind of inexperienced in that way of, like, you tell her, hey, your time's been cut and we only can give you 8 minutes out of the 15 that we told you we were going to give you. Try to get all your stuff in there. I felt like that was like a recipe for disaster, and I felt like they were set up not for necessarily failure because the match wasn't bad. You could just tell it was really quick.
Yeah, it was. I think the problem was it seemed pretty clunky, at least to me, because I think the problem is, and what kind of like baffled me a little bit, is that these two had pretty decent chemistry when they were like dealing with the whole tag team titles. So it's
Right.
like you're kind of expecting that same thing here, and then you got the match, and it's just like, what the hell's going on? Like, each of them, it always seemed like they were a step behind the other. Nothing seemed in sync, nothing seemed cohesive, and it was just like they could not get off the ground to make this a decent match. And I don't know. I know that I know that Jade kind of like had the knee injury a little bit. That ending was so strange.
Yeah,
It
the
was so
ending was really
strange.
strange.
Because I'm like, did she actually fuck her knee up pinning somebody or hitting Jaded? Like, what's going on? Because it seemed like she hits Jaded and it's like, okay, that looks normal. And then she goes for the pin and she almost like falls over. And I'm like, what is this? And then you could see she could barely stand. And it wasn't that whole like, I don't think she was acting. At least I don't think she was. I think she was clearly in some amount of pain. And I kept watching the replay going, is that where she hurt herself? Did she like hurt herself on Jaded? She hurt herself on like the turnover for the pin? I don't really know. It just looked very odd to me, but yeah, it's a shame because this match had a lot of potential and it just didn't really live up to it, I don't think anyway.
Yeah, it didn't in my book. I ended up giving it a 3 flat out of 5
Yeah.
flame emojis. Yeah, because it was just a match that had. Yeah, it wasn't offensive, but it was just a match that happened, and if you blinked, it was already over. So that's the way I felt about it. I was hoping for better from these women. It's not their fault. I feel like their time must have got cut. Something must have happened to throw them off their game, because that's honestly what it looked like. They were just off their game.
Yeah, it seemed from the start something was off, and it was blatantly obvious.
Yeah, for sure. And that takes us to the main event of the evening, the match I was looking forward to the most, a renewal of a rivalry that I think is one of the best rivalries in all of WWE history. I'm talking about John Cena defending the undisputed WWE Championship against CM Punk, and honestly, it felt like a nostalgia trip. The chemistry was there. The work rate was there. These guys can wrestle each other with their eyes closed. We even got a little bit of shenanigans that kind of elevated the match. It really honestly felt like it was booked like that match in WrestleMania 40, the main event between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, where everybody was running in. This one was kind of crazy. You had Jimmy Uso. You had Penta and then Penta coming out was crazy because Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are beating down John Cena, and Penta decides to do the Penta walk down the ramp.
It was funny.
It was like, holy crap. And then again, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, what a tag team. I was thinking about that last night as they were making their entrance together as a tag team. I would have never guessed that would work together so well as a tag team.
Yeah, you think it wouldn't. It really just works. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just, sometimes you just catch lightning in a bottle, I guess.
And then Seth Rollins comes out, but he doesn't come out. It doesn't look like he's coming out to cash in, or else that's what it didn't feel like. Like he wasn't making this quick entrance to the ring. He was kind of taking his time. He wasn't. Yeah, and then he tried to bring a ref with him, and Charles Robinson got absolutely trucked by John Cena. I'm surprised Charles Robinson could even stand up and walk after that, because John Cena took him out.
He pounced him. I'm glad he didn't land into the steps, because he could have.
Yeah, it was close. It was close, but Seth Rollins doesn't get the opportunity to cash in. He has a little bit of a jaw-jacking with John Cena. This kind of feels like they were teasing Cena to come back to the good side. He has a little handshake and a hug with CM Punk, and then he goes to kick Punk in the balls, but Punk catches him, hits him with the GTS. All of that for nothing because of the distraction by Seth Rollins. allows and he hits the stomp on CM Punk to kind of stick it to CM Punk. All of this allows John Cena to once again pick up the win, not necessarily cheat to win, but definitely had help.
I could just imagine you sitting there being so pissed off at Seth Rollins because it looked like it looked like bad news for me. I'm sitting there watching it and I'm like, shit. I'm like, this is gonna happen again. I'm not gonna hear the end of it. For obviously the listeners that may not have caught last week's episode of our tiebreakers for the our what do we call it? The Ringside Rundown Predictions Championship.
There you
that's
go.
what we call it.
Yeah.
We had a tiebreaker because of course we picked everything the same because why wouldn't we? And our tiebreaker was, for me, it was Roxanne was going to cost Raquel the street fight. And for Erik, it was Cena was going to hit Punk with the title to win the match. And he had that title in his hands. And I'm like, are we seriously going to do this again? Like, I was like, we cannot do this for the, third or fourth match in a row. Like, this can't be what happens. And then when Rollins cost Punk the title, poor mom was laughing. She's like, "Oh, I bet Erik's just pissed right now."
I was just looking at it like, of course, we need to overbook this match. Oh, and it was great. It was great overbooking, by the way. I'm not criticizing it, but I'm like, of course, with me and me not getting what I want, they have to overbook the match, and it works out that way.
Yeah. Neither of us really succeeded at anything except getting everything right. So by default, I just held on to the title, thank God. But it was just, the match. I mean, leading up to all the chaos, it was what we would have expected. It's Cena and Punk; these two know each other like the back of their hands. So shocker, they had a good match. What the hell else is new? And then all that chaos happened, and it's so funny to see the amount of people online that hated how that match broke down at the end because they're like, well, that match didn't need it. It's just like, okay, but I feel like this is like, I think Cena's third or fourth title defense.
Yeah.
I think you got to get used to this shit by now. I mean, is it annoying sometimes? Yes, but you shouldn't be surprised. You really shouldn't be surprised that it descended into chaos. I didn't think it was going to descend into that much chaos, but it still happened. And you kind of saw the glimmer of, like you said, if Cena's gonna come back to the light, and well, maybe not right now, but it's still kind of there. They're still hinted at it here and there, so it's only a matter of time, probably at SummerSlam at this point, but we'll see there. But match itself was great. Honestly, I can't really complain. It was great from start to finish, even though I got whiplash from the ending because it was just like, I don't know what to focus on right now, but I ended up giving it 3 3/4 flames.
That's funny. I also gave it 3 3/4 flames. I thought about rating it a 4, but I was like, no, I'm going to keep it because it was definitely to me the best match of the night. But it didn't blow out any of the other matches. The other matches still kind of stayed neck and neck with it. So I gave it 3 3/4 out of 5 flames. And again, it was to me the best match of the night. Not necessarily the best match of their feud, but still an entertaining chapter, let's just say, in the feud of CM Punk and John Cena. And now it looks like all roads are pointing to SummerSlam and John Cena defending the title once again against Cody Rhodes, the man he took it from. Now, I don't know if they're going to stretch out John Cena's run to end with him as the champion, or maybe possibly end up giving it back to Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. What do you think?
I feel like they're going to give it back to Cody because I feel like you're kind of like suspecting at some point Cena's going to kind of come back to the light, and I feel like it would it would do him a little more justice to have more time, as not so much like the whole greatest hits thing, but just like spend a little bit more time trying to repent for what he has done in the summer of this absolute mess of a title run. But yeah, I think they'll give it back to Cody, and then Cena can have the proper amount of time and no distractions to actually have a I don't want to say worthwhile like farewell tour because this one hasn't been a waste, but it's definitely not been what I think a lot of people were expecting.
Right.
And I don't I don't buy the whole like, well, I mean, if it was the same thing, everybody would have complained. It's like, no, they wouldn't have because they just would have appreciated that Cena's still there for at least a couple more months. I don't think they would have complained if it would have been the greatest hits because it's John Cena. It is what it is. So I can appreciate they at least tried to take a creative risk. I just don't know why they felt the need to, I guess. But yeah, I think they'll give Cody the title back at SummerSlam, and then the last few months of Cena's tour can be him kind of getting back in the good graces of the fans.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I can definitely see it going that way, and it's just going to be interesting because the dates keep dwindling down, and once they get down low, it kind of makes it difficult because then you really have to count your eggs and make sure you're putting them in the proper baskets and not kind of rushing anything. Because John Cena says, "This is it. You know, I'm done after this. I'm hanging it up after this, and you don't get another shot to redo this." So it's definitely interesting to see how they're working it out. It's funny the reaction that, like you said, people were like, "Oh well, you know, this is not necessarily what we wanted, and you know, this is not where we are expecting." John Cena did say his plan was to ruin wrestling. You know,
Yeah,
so
man of his word.
yeah, so I'm saying I feel like that's the point. I think he's being a man of his word and upholding his own, you know, wishes, and that's ruining wrestling. You want the John Cena that's going to give you the good feeling inside, and I'm going to take that away from you. I'm taking back the power for that. So I feel like that's very interesting, and it played out in Night of Champions. I thought he had me fooled at first when he and Punk hugged in the middle of the ring. I thought, okay, maybe he's done with the whole bad guy John Cena, and nope, he went right back to it. So he had me fooled for a little bit. So I'm interested in seeing where he's going next and how they're gonna map this out for Cody.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting story. I
Yeah.
just hope they don't wait, like you said, I hope they don't wait too long for Cena to go out into the sunset on a high note because I feel like it would just wouldn't make sense for them to like, I think his last, like, the end of the road, I think in December, I'm pretty sure, like
Yeah.
sometime in December. It'd be very silly for them to keep all of this going up until like November and be like, all right, guys, just kidding. The good ending is going to be in the next like 3 weeks. It's just like they can't do that. Like that's not going to be enough time to do anything substantial and worthwhile. So I say give it just more time to be the good guy again, at least to ride off into the sunset.
Okay, well, we shall see how that happens. SummerSlam is still ways away. It's at the end of August. And I think they said that there's another, didn't they say that there's another pay-per-view sometime in August or PLE in August that they were doing? Like, I don't know. I maybe be dreaming this stuff up. There's so many
Hold up.
pay-per-views and PLEs. I can't even keep track of them. Our next episode is going to be crazy because we're going to have to give predictions for AEW All In Texas, and then there's also going to be Saturday night's main event, and then the next day after that there's going to be Evolution 2. So it's going to be
wait, you're right actually.
right.
Clash in Paris at the end of August 31st.
And when is SummerSlam?
August 2nd and 3rd.
Oh, okay. So it's the beginning of August. Okay.
Yeah, and then the end.
At beginning and then the end. Okay, what a month of August is going to be for WWE. That's going to be nuts.
Yeah, we're gonna be tired, but it's what we signed up for.
Yeah, definitely. This is what we like to do. This is what we like to do for the people. And part of doing what we do for the people is answering your questions about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. We have a couple questions in. Why don't we get right to it? Why don't we get to the questions and get the answering done?
Yeah, let's get this done. All right, so we're gonna start off with moms. So, touching on a little bit from Night of Champions. So she thought it was a pretty good match between Karrion and Sammy. except she picked Sammy instead of Karrion, unlike we did. So she said, does she get the championship now?
Oh, she wants to get in on the phone. We need to make up like a championship for the listeners and see if they drop their predictions, if they can, if they would have challengers for the championship.
Yeah, I said I made the executive decision about 2 hours ago that I'm like, no, because you did not go on the air to make your predictions, and you did not, you don't qualify, unfortunately. But
It's
you can
that
have our
it's that rule where you're related to one of the competitors, so you automatically you get disqualified.
Yeah, I'm just like that. Yeah, that wouldn't be too fair for you. So I
Yeah.
have to keep it. I have to keep it but yeah, we agreed. It was a pretty good match. We just wish she wasn't right. We wanted Karrion to win it. So like I said, I'm hoping they do something else, something more with the story.
Yeah.
Because if that's how it ends, then I am confused.
I honestly thought that they were going to build upon the popularity that Karrion Kross has been developing online with the stuff that he's been saying. And obviously his merch has been selling very well. I guess maybe this was a test because like you said on Raw, they kind of continued the angle with Karrion Kross attacking Sami Zayn and then busting up his ribs with a lead pipe.
He hit him with that one too. That sounded bad.
Yeah, so hopefully this just means that they're going to keep the party going between Sami and Karrion, and we get more Karrion Kross on TV.
Yeah, I agree. Let's just hope they continue to listen to us because we have good ideas sometimes. Not always, but sometimes the online fans know what they're talking about. Just don't tell them that.
Don't give them that big head.
No, they already have it a little too bad as it is. But anyway, so next she, as well as the two of us, we would agree with this that she feels bad for Gunther because he's gonna have to carry that match with Goldberg. It's Saturday night's main event from start to finish. Yeah.
I mean, he's carrying the entire feud program right now, just coming out and cutting these promos. These promos that he's been cutting on Bill Goldberg have been phenomenal work. Gunther really, really good at selling a match and cutting a promo for a match. My thing is I'm going to be stopwatching. I'm going to be looking at the stopwatch to see how long this one's actually going to go. If it's actually going to go like the prototypical Goldberg 3 minutes, or if Goldberg's got a little bit more in him, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a shame that poor Gunther's going to have to actually make him look like a formidable opponent. And you know what? Props to him if he can do it. And I'm sure he can, but it's just kind of sad that he has to put up with this shit because I still don't understand why this is a title match. If this is supposedly Goldberg's last match ever, I get that it's in Atlanta, I get it's his hometown, whatever, but why?
Yeah, I think they didn't have to make it a title match.
I mean, I have a terrible theory, a terrible thought. I just don't want it to actually, I don't want to speak it into existence. Though,
you think Goldberg is actually going to win the world title?
For all of like 5 seconds, yeah.
Oh, and then what? Rollins comes and cashes it in?
Yeah, which would really annoy me even more because I'm like, that would be such a waste of time, but it would make sense. And I hate that it makes sense, but I don't want it to happen. But
that's interesting.
Like, even taking the whole like Goldberg and then like Seth cashing in out of it, could you imagine what that would do to somebody like Gunther if you lose to somebody like Goldberg? Like, that is terrible.
Yeah.
That is bad. I don't even care how it happens. It's just the fact that you would have somebody like Gunther lose to him would be disgusting, honestly. Like, it shouldn't happen. I really hope they don't do what I just said they could do, because unfortunately it makes a little bit of sense, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea. So
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a plausible idea. It definitely can happen. I don't know. I feel like that would be kind of like the cheap way to elevate Seth Rollins with the title. It would be to have him cash in after Goldberg wins, and kind of, it's not like Goldberg's going to be 100% after a match with Gunther. So you're kind of taking the easy way out when you take out Goldberg and take the title from him. Why can't you do that against Gunther?
Yeah, and it's like, you get it's for the big like hometown moment, whatever, but why would you have the big hometown moment just to destroy it 5 seconds later? So I could see that, but this is also, to be fair, this is also kind of their fault too because they let this happen. So, I mean, you can't really feel sorry for them because this is what you guys wanted. This is what you asked for, and you asked for it, and you're gonna get it. And they seem to be the only ones that want it because nobody else wants it.
You know,
I
it's
certainly
fun.
don't want it.
You know, it's funny that you say that. Every time Gunther comes out and he cuts these promos, he's getting positive reactions.
Yes, he is.
He's
He got some.
getting
He
really
got some
loud
cheers in
cheers.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's getting really loud cheers, which is very interesting. I don't. It's like
All
Gold
people.
is like Goldberg just an entrance. Like, is that what it is? It's just the Goldberg entrance, and then the nostalgia just wears off with people. Like, we want to see the entrance, we just don't want to see him wrestle.
Yeah, I feel like that. See, and I think that's just the problem with. I think that's sometimes the problem with wrestling fans in a nutshell, where you love the nostalgia acts, and then when they actually do something, you're like, oh, well, I didn't really care to see that. I just wanted to see the cool stuff that I used to see 10, 20 years ago. So it's, again, it's also those kind of fans that this happens because of you guys. Like,
Yeah.
one small little nostalgic thing happens, you don't shut up about it. WWE and TK are going to look at that and go, see, we got a lot of people talking about it because this is big. See, I told you this did numbers online or something. And then you actually get it. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, I didn't actually want it. It's just like, well, you guys asked for this. You brought it on. So yeah, I don't know. It's just mind-boggling to me that these are the same people that were chanting for Goldberg and were hoping that he would show up on Monday, and thank God he didn't. No. But then you turn right around and cheer for Gunther when he's pretty much just calling him a washed-up old man, which I mean he is. So it's just like, what do you want? Like, pick a lane. Pick a lane.
Yeah, it's like I see why, like Nick Khan says, we don't book for the internet. If you booked for the internet, you would break your head trying to figure out what all these people want. They all want different things, and they all think their idea is the best, and it's gonna be the best thing in wrestling. Honestly, just stay the course of action. Whatever you have planned, just go with it. I kind of trust you, which I know Shay probably doesn't have that same trust, and maybe that's that's where we differ. I'm just like, well, whatever they do, they're gonna do it regardless of what you want them to do. So, might as well just take it when you can, take how you can get it. I honestly don't think they're gonna give Goldberg the title or give him a title run. It'll just create too many issues and too many creative issues to try to make a 58-year-old man with a world title seem like a plausibly good idea. I just don't see it happening. So my concern is this match going to be 3 minutes or longer? That's what I'm looking at.
Should it be longer than 3 minutes? No.
Well, the thing is, if it's not, it's going to get scrutinized. Gunther was right.
The problem is, it's going to get scrutinized regardless because it's either going to be, that's just another Goldberg match. What a big fucking deal. It's 3 minutes, or 5 minutes in, it's like, oh, see, Goldberg's gas. We knew this wasn't a good idea. So it's just like, I mean, we've talked about this 5,000 times before on the show. The online community is just going to complain about it regardless. And it's just like, yeah, believe me, I don't want to see this either. I'd rather take a nap, which I know, who knows, but it's just like, I don't know. I mean, we're getting it whether we like it or not, so
yeah,
we'll see.
I'm telling you, that weekend for wrestling is going to be big with all the shows that are happening, so it's definitely going to be one to talk about, and I can't wait for it to happen, so for us to talk about it on the show.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of content, so
for sure.
I'm not going to be bored. All right, so Mom wants to talk about that one specific spot in the Punk and Cena match at Night of Champions when they tried to put Punk through the table and it didn't really work too well. She said he's just lucky he didn't get hurt on that because, yeah, that could have been a little catastrophic. I don't really know what the hell happened there. I don't know if, like, Punk didn't, like, go with them or they couldn't put a grip on him or something, because I'm just like, why is this a lot more difficult than it needs to be? Because this just looks like bad. And then he landed on it. I'm like, that looks even worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank God he was okay, because Jesus, that was not pretty at all.
Yeah. It looked like they just couldn't get the timing on the lift right, and they just said screw it, drop him. And then they just kind of dropped him on his back, and it was just like, oh, that looked bad. Oh man. But luckily he didn't hurt himself, because again, CM Punk is kind of up there in age, where his body is a little bit more fragile than it was before, so got to take it easy on old Punker.
Yeah, give him a break. I mean, Seth Rollins isn't going to give him a break. But,
seriously.
I mean, the worst part is it's kind of karma if you think about it, because, I mean, Punk cost McIntyre 5,000 titles last year, and so kind of, turnabout's fair play in a way. I mean, of course, it's just going to be justified bad or good one way or another, depending on your view, but it's kind of karma a little bit. It's just like, this is exactly what happened with you and McIntyre. It's just now you're on the receiving end of it, so... Unfortunately, karma is real, and I think, well, I mean, if it's up to Seth, he's never going to hold that title. He said it himself. As long as I'm around, he's never going to hold a title, which is funny, because then not what Punk said about McIntyre. So again, it's just, you kind of just getting a taste of your own medicine, Punk, and, oh, it's going to be interesting TV. It's just going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to see if maybe there's going to be an interaction between Punk and Gunther, because we got a little interaction earlier last night on Raw. He pushed the shit out of him. And so, Gunther's not going to take that sitting down, no pun intended, so...
not anymore.
Yeah, I want to see if there's going to be a little situation brewing there between Punk and Gunther.
Yeah, I mean, and... both sides have their own gripes, and I understand it, because Gunther can be like, well, why the hell do you touch me? And Punk's just like, well, I mean, you were kind of just... He was just friendly fire at that point, or just collateral damage. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if that'll ever amount to like a title match, possibly, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. It'd be pretty interesting promo battle between those two, I could tell you that.
Oh yeah, the mic work would be great between them.
Maybe we do need that. Maybe we'll get that for SummerSlam.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll talk it into existence, guys.
Just,
bookmark this episode for a few months or a few weeks from now. All right, so Mom's last comment is congrats to Finn. Didn't see that coming last night. Yeah, no, I definitely didn't really see them winning those titles either, but it's a good match. It was a really good
my
match.
God, the match was incredible last night. That tag match was just so good. I just think it lends to the unpredictability of WWE. I think they're trying to make it where you can't predict necessarily what's gonna win. Now, I think they're going away from the old ways of doing things, where everybody doesn't lose. Like New Day only had 2 title defenses before this match, and they lost it on their second, third title defense. Like, that's kind of unheard of in WWE. You still get a long reign with your title. It feels like only the world titles that situation kind of happens, unless you're Jey Uso. But it's just weird. Like, you can't predict when the person's gonna lose their title. They can lose it on their second or third defense. You never know.
Yeah, it's definitely unpredictable. I definitely don't complain about it, because it's nice to have those little like shock moments of like, oh wow, I didn't really think they were going to do that. But it's also not entirely like insulting the intelligence either, where you didn't really see... I mean, New Day was good, but I don't think they were necessarily like lighting the world on fire.
Right.
So I feel like there's not going to be people clamoring online of how dare you have them lose those titles, they deserve to hold on to those for 5 months, and I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah, no, that was a really good match. Definitely can't complain. Yeah, congrats to Judgment Day has titles again, and from what we saw backstage, there is some drama. Definitely some drama.
But they have all the gold except for the world titles. That's it. They have the Intercontinental title, they have the World Tag Team titles, they have the WWE Women's Tag Team titles in the Judgment Day. So it looks like the Judgment Day is back on top when it comes to gold.
Well, okay, so I need like to ask you about this because I was kind of confused by this. So that's segment backstage where obviously Roxanne had to be like the replacement for Liv Morgan.
Right.
It's confused the shit out of me how they were like, all right, guys, we're gonna put it to a vote and we'll see if she can make it in. And literally, when it got down to Raquel, I'm like, there was already 3 yeses to none. So why all of a sudden did she have to be like the end all say all? Like majority would have ruled anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been a little like I don't know, that would have added a little bit more dimension into that storyline of like I don't really trust you. I really don't want you here, but majority rules, so I guess I'll just deal with you. And then Raquel slowly warms up to Roxanne a little bit, but I thought it was a little too easy just for them to go, okay, yeah, I mean, Big Rock say yes, now you're in. It's just the 3 of them saying yes. She was already in, so I would have liked to have seen Raquel be like, you know what? No, I'm going to be the only one that says no. You have to earn it or something.
Mm.
But that's just me. I was just confused. I'm like, last I checked, majority rules, and they did not seem to remember that that was a thing. But that was just me. That was just something I noticed. But
Well, let's see if Roxanne in the Judgment Day works out. You know, it could also backfire. I mean, they may hold on to the tag team titles by the skin of their teeth. They have a tall task ahead of them for Evolution 2. They're going to be putting up the tag titles in a fatal 4-way match. With the team from Raw, a team from SmackDown, and a team from NXT, which I think we have a question about that later on in the show, so I won't expand upon that too much.
Yeah, we'll leave that one for a little bit later. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be very, very interesting and dramatic to see what happens when Liv comes back because for depending on how long she's gonna be out, which might be quite a while from what I remember hearing, like what was it, 5 to 6 months, 6 to 8 months. It was at least it was a while. So she's gonna be out for definitely the foreseeable future. So there's some meat to that story of what can they pull off in the amount of time, and then we have to pretend like, oh well, I don't know if we really should do this because Liv's not here. And I mean, Dom kind of alluded to that a little bit, where he's like, well, I mean, I'm gonna go talk before I like vote, and Finn's like, ah, no, don't worry about it, dude. Be your own person. Like you make a decision. And it's just funny to see how sarcastic Finn is about Liv because they've been throwing shade at each other for quite a while. So it's always so funny to see him act so sunny and disposition, like the sunny disposition when it comes to Liv, and you know full well he's being sarcastic.
Yeah,
like he's happy she's gone.
Yeah, he's being kind of petty. It feels like.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, why not? We love the petty dramas. So.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good TV.
Exactly. So it'll be fun to see where they take this and what happens and when the shit hits the fan when Liv comes back. But for now, we'll focus on how they're gonna hold these onto these titles because, like you said, they can make it interesting where it's like they don't win convincingly every time. They keep winning by the skin of their teeth, and there's like more dissension within the Judgment Day because of it. So we'll see how they handle it.
Yeah,
but
for sure. I'm interested. They've hooked me in.
Yeah, I didn't think they could, but they did because I was just like, are we really going to do this again with the Judgment Day? But they got me. I'll admit, I was wrong. All right, so that was all of Mom's questions and comments. So, Mom, thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
And our last 4 questions of the night are from Mike. So I knew it was a matter of time before someone asked this because I'm sure separately you and I questioned this from AEW. Why do we rush Kota Ibushi and Okada, and worse than that, for free TV? Because AEW can't fucking help themselves.
Yeah, I that's the first thing I said when they announced Kota Ibushi made his return. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I like Kota Ibushi, but I'm like, damn, the focus should really be on Omega versus Okada. Nothing should deviate the focus from that. And I feel like not only does adding Kota Ibushi kind of take away from that, I'm like, now I kind of want to see Okada versus Ibushi, which is not exactly what you want at this present time. You want to see Omega versus Okada, you know? Yep. So it's like, I felt like they could have did a better job bringing back Ibushi. They didn't necessarily have to bring him back then. They could have waited till after All In. because it's like,
during All In.
yeah, or yeah, during All In, like let's say Okada wins and he beats Omega, and all of a sudden, you know, Okada's in the middle of the ring celebrating with the new unified championship, and then Kota Ibushi, his music hits, and he comes out to check on Kenny Omega, and he and Okada have a stare down, and that sets up the match in the future. Then you do it then, like what, 2 weeks before All In, you going to introduce Kota Ibushi into this mixture? It just doesn't make sense.
They have a very itchy trigger finger when it comes to stuff like this. They
Yeah.
can't help themselves, and I feel like Tony Khan gets so hyped up. It's like, no, we got to do it now. We got to do it now. I can't wait. We have to do it now. It's like, okay, but as soon as they announced that match for Dynamite 300, the first thing I said when I saw it is, why? Why are we doing this now? Like, not even, like, taking the whole, like, Omega's storyline out of it. Why do we just keep wasting these kind of matches that could have fully been on All In? Okada and Ibushi could have easily been on an All In card, but no, you're going to put it on free cable television because what else is new? And then inevitably, if those two have a pay-per-view match, people are going to be like, okay, well, we saw it already. It's not going to be as special. But I don't know. It's just, that is the one crutch that AEW will never let go of. I think it's probably fused to their hands by now at this point, where it's like, nope, this is the new hot thing. Everyone's talking about it. We got to capitalize on it now. And it's like, okay, yeah, but it doesn't really make sense for the big ass pay-per-view you have next week. But
it's just like they just don't like map things out and give things time to breathe. It's just like they kind of rush into everything. Oh, Kota Ibushi's available, and we can bring him in right now, even though it doesn't really fit the story or the narrative or what the focus should be. The focus should be Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, but let's just throw Ibushi in there and get everybody hyped for that, and then, like you said, give it away for free on TV when you could definitely save that for a pay-per-view match and that be worthy of selling the pay-per-views at the price that you sell them for.
Yeah, it's that short-sightedness that just drives me up a wall with them, because it's just like, guys, if you could just map this out a little bit, you could end up doing so much more, like, anything. Everything would be so much better if you guys just stop planning 1 week in advance. It drives me up a fucking wall, but at this rate, I don't think they're ever going to change, because I feel like we say this every other week about some storyline where it's like, why are we doing this on TV? But I don't know. It's just, it's ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, this is a I feel like this is a very simple yes or no answer. Will Chris Jericho return for Dynamite 300?
I hope not.
Now, we technically have two different answers for this, depending on how you answer or you ask that question. Do we want Jericho to come back on Dynamite 300? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I think that's the bigger question is, do we want to see Jericho? No.
No. Willie, I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. At least I don't think he's going to come back, but I mean, that's what you're going to get out of me. It's just a loud groan when Jericho's music hits if he comes back.
They'll literally just bring him back for no apparent reason, just for the sake of bringing him back, because that's just the thing they love doing with him, is just putting him in things that make no sense or where he shouldn't belong. So I wouldn't doubt it if they just throw him in there just for the hell of it, because it's Dynamite 300 and they got to get that rating. They got to get that rating that it's so goddamn important for them. And he's sure the needle mover already, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just, it definitely, do we want him there? Will he show up? I feel like I would be leaning more towards yes, because I just feel like they're not going to be able to help themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him, sadly.
Don't put that evil out in the world.
I don't want to see it either, because then we're going to have to complain about it in a few weeks. So I don't want to, but it wouldn't be the first time we've been disappointed by him. So trust me, it's a weekly basis, but whatever. All right, so how good was Punk life on SmackDown? Some of Punk's lines, I think, would have went over better in the US. Yeah, I agree with that. I would have never thought I would have heard basic thugonomics again. the nostalgia I got hit with when that music hit was insane. And it it just what got me the most was when Punk had the knuckles and it said drug free on it. I fucking lost it. I'm like, you have a sense of humor. I love it. This is great.
Yeah, I would agree. Some of the lines would have probably went over better on here in the States, especially like the line about them rehiring John's ex. You know,
Ooh.
like
Yeah.
I want to know who's Punk's ghostwriter, who's been writing for Punk and getting all these jabs in for him.
Yeah, maybe Heyman still.
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it.
maybe Heyman's his ghostwriter.
It might be. I mean, I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. But yeah, no, that was a fun little trip down memory lane. Even though we had the Chicago Cubs jersey, that was and that was what it was. I don't think we're gonna be Pirates jersey anytime soon. Which, you know what, I don't blame them. But no, that was a lot of fun, honestly. All right, so our last question of the night, and I was hoping someone would ask this, and we kind of alluded to it earlier. Which tag teams would we pick to go up against Roxanne and Raquel in the Fatal 4-Way at Evolution? So what team from SmackDown and what team from NXT would we pick?
Well, and then you also can't forget about it's SmackDown, NXT, and another team from Raw, right?
Raw. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So for Raw, I figured why not reunite Kairi Sane and Asuka?
Ooh, yeah.
And bring back the Kabuki Warriors, because I'm thinking more of a team. You know, I'm thinking team aspect of this. So I'm thinking the Kabuki Warriors would work, and then over on SmackDown, maybe the Secret Hervis, or you could do Michin and BFAB if they're ready as a team.
I can see it.
Or you could do. I know they've been kind of hinting at a partnership between Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I'd much rather have like the Secret Hervis just for the comedy.
Yeah, I was thinking the Secret Hervis too. I was thinking Secret Hervis, Kabuki Warriors. Now NXT is going to be tough to figure out because they don't really have a tag team division, or they don't really have standard tag matches very much in the women's division. But I was thinking maybe the rest of Fatal Influence, Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley, because JC Jane is going to be taking on Jordan Grace for the NXT Women's Championship at Evolution 2. So maybe the other two from Fatal Influence can jump in on the Fatal 4-Way tag match and represent NXT for that one.
Oh, that wouldn't be bad. Of course, you took 2 out of my 3 answers, because I would have also said the Kabuki Warriors, because as they announced that and I'm sitting there watching it, it took every fiber of my being. I'm like, who the hell else could it be off of Raw? Because there's like, every time I would think of one, I'm like, nope, they're released. Nope, they're gone. Because you had teams and you got rid of 3/4 of your tag team division. So yeah, I would do Asuka and Kairi for Raw. Definitely do the Secret Hervis on SmackDown, just like I said, just for the entertainment, just for the hell of it. It would be fun to watch. I, however, have a different pick for the NXT. I would like to see Sol Ruka and Zarya.
Sol Ruka Zarya, I would not mind that.
That would be a fun-ass team. They are a fun-ass team. I would like to see, both of them, because that would just be, like, insane to see. I'd like to see Sol hit a Soul Snatcher in front of that many people, because people are going to lose their shit over it.
Yeah.
Because she's just that damn good, and Zarya's good too in her own right. So why the hell not? Yeah, those are my picks. I would say go for them.
No, those are good picks. Those are definitely good picks. That is happening at the Evolution 2 pay-per-view July 13th on Sunday. PLE, it's going to be on Peacock and on Netflix internationally. I know that they had to kind of rewrite the show because of Liv Morgan's injury. So I'm really interested in seeing how they're going to pull off this show with the massive rewrite and having to do things differently now that Liv Morgan cannot be involved. And they also released the poster for it, and Trish Stratus is on the poster, and Nikki Bella. So I'm wondering, are they going to be involved as well?
They'll probably be in that battle royal. I wouldn't be surprise.
That's true.
Maybe.
That battle royal, and that means that you get a championship opportunity against the champion of the brand that you're on. So
Would
good.
I be willing? Would I be happy if either of them won? Not really. No. I mean, I feel like Trisha's had her time. I feel like she's definitely more of just like the, let's just say, the better version of like the whole nostalgia act issue that we talked about earlier, because
Mhm.
she still wrestle. Like that helps a little bit, and
Right.
she's not all just fluff and entrance and looks. She can still wrestle at a decently high level. Nikki, I don't know. It's tough for me because I've just never really been a fan. She's just never really been like my kind of like women's wrestler, I guess. But I don't know. I just don't see her winning. But then again, I don't. Well, it also depends on who else is in it. But I feel like once you kind of see the full field of that battle royal, I think it might possibly become pretty obvious who wins. But you never know. They might surprise us.
You
But
never know.
gotta keep us on our toes.
For sure, they definitely do. But that means we just have a lot of things to cover, especially next week's episode. Next week's episode, we got to talk about AEW All in Texas. We got to talk about Saturday night's main event, and we also got to talk about the rest of Evolution to PLE. So we got a lot of stuff to cover next week.
Yeah, I feel like unfortunately we may not be taking any questions next
No,
week.
no, yeah. I don't think we're gonna have
Plenty
we're gonna have plenty to talk about with 3 shows to cover. So no questions next week, but we definitely thank your mom and Mike for these week's questions. They were definitely great questions to ask. So thank you very much, guys, for participating in the show. And it means a lot to us because anybody really who's listening to the show can participate. And if you have any wrestling related questions, you could definitely ask us, and we would love to have your input and your opinions on what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, just to have a broad, spectrum of voices, different types of wrestling fans with different types of ideas. So don't be afraid to participate. Ask your own questions for us to answer on the show, and give us your own opinions about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, we always like to hear it.
For sure. Well, before we get out of here, just let you know where you could find this podcast, depending on where you're listening. You could find this podcast all across the board on the internet, all on a bunch of different podcast platforms. It should be on the one that you're using right now. All you have to do is search Ringside Rundown and hit the follow or subscribe button, whatever the platform asks of you. If you have a certain platform that you use and you cannot find the Ringside Rundown on it, just hit us up on social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, at Ringside Rundown. Shoot us a DM, let us know what platform you use, and we will get you a link to the show on that platform on a silver platter. But you have to give us back the silver platter. It belongs to Shay's mom, and she's dangerous. She actually trained Brock Lesnar in the art of amateur wrestling. So she could take you out with the crack of a whip. No problem. Easily done. So make sure you get that little silver platter back to us, because that's the only caveat. It belongs to Shay's mom, and she's really particular about it.
Yeah, please don't make me have to deal with that, guys. I'm begging you.
Like I said, you can find the show on any platform, but you can also find it on YouTube. It's available on our YouTube channel if you go to youtube.com/@ringside-run-pod. That's @ringside-run-pod. That has every episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast, plus short form content, highlights from our streams when we do watch alongs for each WWE and AEW program on TV. Like I said, you can follow us on social media. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is @Ringside Rundown. Come join the fun there. We are also on TikTok, Ringside_Rundown on TikTok. Come follow us there for all your short form content needs. And if you want to hang out with us while we're watching shows like Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, and Collision, I do live watch alongs for all of those shows and the PLEs on Twitch. So come throw us a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/Ringside Rundown. Like I said, I'm on there for Raw, I'm on there for Dynamite, I'm on there for SmackDown. Saturdays we do NXT and AEW Collision, so make sure you come join me there. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at my new wrestling account, Shay Ringside_. Gotta go for Eric's gig a little bit, but we gotta go for continuity's sake. But
Yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll let you have it, you know, just to keep it all in the same room. Like, if you want more wrestling content from
keep it
Shay,
in the family.
yeah, if you want more wrestling content from Shay, make sure you go give her a follow on Twitter, Shay ringside _ Stealing my gimmick, but that's okay. I'm just influencing the kids, you know. Call me an influencer. Call me an influencer.
You finally made that switch, unfortunately.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm a social media influencer now, guys.
Boy.
I found my calling. No.
All right, guys, we're done.
Yeah, we're definitely done. But like I said, next week we'll be back with another big episode. We're going to be giving you our predictions for AEW All in Texas, talking about Saturday night's main events and the Evolution 2 PLE. So get ready for it. Make sure you're subscribed and followed up on the podcast. And for Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care.
See you later, guys.